complex in relation to in relation to culture in international arbitration. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, or good afternoon. I was thinking if you were awake. Well, I'll try to be brief on what I will say. So, first of all, I have a quote from Nelson Mandela, and I think it is of relevance in this subject. So he says, if you talk to a man in a language he understands, that goes to his head. But if you talk to him in his language, that goes straight to his heart. How many of you agree about this?
Yeah.
And the others? No? Sorry?
No dissenting views.
No. Okay.
Went on my head.
Well, perhaps I should speak your language. So, in a nutshell, can anybody tell me briefly what is culture in international arbitration? I mean, when we have a multi-party arbitration and we have different nationalities of arbitrators, what is the definition of culture in this context? Can anyone?
Maybe African culture.
Can you put the mic?
Might be African culture.
Sorry? It might be African culture.
Yeah.
How so?
Yeah, Africa. My skin and everything.
No, I mean, how can you define culture in this context? Yes, Dr. Ismail?
We can start with the summa divisio of common law style of doing arbitration versus civil law style, but there are many subdivisions within the two systems, and there are also geographic, of course, factors that may affect the way arbitration is practiced by lawyers, by arbitrators. Yes.
Okay. Dr. Ismail made a very good point. He made the division between the civil and the common law. We understand that African countries have adopt either civil or common law, or a hybrid between both, as far as I understand from my friend Madeleine. She explained me that in Tanzania, the substantive law is common law, and the procedural law. And what is civil law?
No, I was referring to our civil procedure.
Ah, okay.
It's in Mauritius.
Mauritius. Okay. And Ethiopia.
And South Africa, South Africa.
Okay. So this will lead me to a point that I will discuss at the end, but I'll leave it for now. So we have in Egypt something very Egyptian, and perhaps it is also present in other African cultures. It is what I call it the foreigner complex. Do you have an idea what is it?
In all Arab countries.
Can anyone explain to
Tell us which foreigner.
No, but Dr. Ismail, I know you know everything. Yes. Tell me.
Yeah, I think about that assumption that Western people are more knowledgeable and qualified than African. So that can be also seen as complex sometimes.
It is just this. This is you pointed it right. It is the belief, the unfounded belief that a foreigner or a non-African would be more proficient, would be better And of course, I'm talking a little bit generally, but I always implicitly relate to international arbitration, as you may have noticed. So it is the unfounded belief that a foreign arbitrator would be more competent, would be more proficient than a local one. But the reality is that after some researches, I noticed that this principle is only present in countries that were invaded, colonized by colonizers. And they put this seed in our beliefs that we cannot live without them. They are the only resort for us. They are better than us, and we are nothing. Fortunately, it becomes to change in newer generations because of the globalization and the open-mindedness of the young generation. So this is something positive. So we should fight this principle that is embedded in our subconscious belief. Do you agree? You don't agree?
We agree. We agree.
Yeah? Okay.
I will not say anything.
You can at least agree, yeah?
Just agree. Zanda's hand is up.
So yeah, please.
I just wanted to say that this holds true not only on the African continent, because in the United States, if someone says something with a British accent, we immediately like, oh, it must be true. It's more sophisticated. So we're not immune from this either, although they colonized us. So your theory remains consistent.
Yes, I agree, but we are more in an African context, so.
No, but it's interesting.
It's a very nice. It has the same principle
So it's a human
as it's the foreigner complex for you. So we are on the same page. So now we'll talk about neutrality versus or against proficiency. Can anyone try to define or say what is neutrality? Of course, when we relate to the neutrality of an arbitrator, what is the neutrality of the arbitrator? Can anyone, Dr. Emilia?
That an arbitrator is does not lack independence and is impartial towards both parties.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And proficiency.
Lack independence.
When
Is that correct?
No, independence is not neutrality.
Independence is not
No,
neutrality.
in
We'll talk about it later. We'll discuss it later. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
The debate of schools.
So, Dr. Ismail, can you exception?
I just want to say that lack of independence may affect neutrality in most of the cases, but not always. This
Yeah,
is what.
but okay, that's a refinement of what you said.
But sorry, but my
No.
question was, what is neutrality?
Lack of stereotypings. It's a state of mind where you are not opinionated from the beginning, and you really want to be fair, you want to be impartial, so it is almost synonym to impartiality.
Thank you. So I got it right.
Yes. But not independent.
Oh, it's okay.
Okay, so imagine I'll picture this scene in a more interactive way. So imagine that we are in a court, in an arbitral court. So who would like to be the neutral arbitrator? Here? Yes? Two. Okay, Dr. Emilia and? Yeah. And who would like to be the non-neutral arbitrator?
Why would you have a non?
I mean, it can happen. Ashil? Well, okay.
Of course, not me.
I didn't even ask you. Because I know already the answer.
Yeah, but no one, but it happened many times.
It happens.
Yeah, it happened.
Yeah.
Microphone, microphone, tired,
But-
microphone.
Yeah, I know it happened. I know it happened. I know,
Microphone, microphone.
I know many bad instances when it happened.
Okay. So how, when it happens, how do you deal with it?
And when it happened, actually, one of them, it was one of the famous cases in Sudan, and at the end of the day, the Supreme Court nullified the judgment
Okay.
because of lack of neutrality. Because I'd say the external lawyer of a company was appointed by the company as an arbitrator.
Mm. Well, that's an example, an extreme example. So let me ask you this.
It was famous case for a big amount of money. It was a joke.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
You
Well,
know, Lord ask what
so I just wanted to say
this
here
is the typical
that
person who is not neutral. He was
some.
against women voting.
Hello. Are you here?
Yes, yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I can't hear you.
Yes.
That's good. So I just wanted to say that
He ruled against Abu
when
Dhabi
African
because he considers
parties
a primitive.
are to choose an arbitrator or arbitrators in a dispute, in a rising dispute, I think they might consider the fact, the neutrality and the proficiency of this arbitrator. I mean, what's the point of having of choosing an arbitrator who is 100% neutral and really without any bias to any party, and at the end of the day he doesn't give the right decision. So the question here, and I let it for you, is the balance. First, the priority. Shall we choose neutrality over proficiency, or proficiency over neutrality? I mean, provided that you have the chance of choosing one of both. The first question. Second question.
I cannot choose.
No. They don't want answer. He doesn't want an answer yet.
Who is professional, and I know very well that he is going to fight against me.
But you don't want an answer yet.
No. It's not. It's just reflections, open questions. If someone wish to answer, you're welcome. But I mean,
Okay.
you don't have to, except after your meeting.
I'm afraid for your time.
No, it's okay. I have some time. So the balance between the two, provided that if you want to choose only one, what will you choose? Neutrality or proficiency? And what is your priority? Is it a case-by-case basis? Is it someone who has a principle that he always must appoint someone who has a certain reputation? For example, a company that wants to appoint an arbitrator. Is this a focal criteria for them? I don't know. I'm just asking you, and if you wish to answer, go on.
Thank you.
So, then, I'll be talking about, yes, the historical background of the rule of law. This point I was developing, it came to my mind today, because I was inspired yesterday by one presentation from our colleagues. I will not say the name, but I divided the historical background into 3 columns. The first one is, 1, the person who drafted a law. 2, the law itself. And 3, the person who applies this law. So, if you imagine, for example, an Egyptian law, the Egyptian Civil Code, for example. There are the legislator who drafted this Egyptian Civil Code. So this is 1. And 2, there is the Civil Code itself. And 3, it will be probably the judge or the arbitrator who will apply this civil code. So I have some questions that I have brought in mind. And the first question is, does the person who applied the law shall always be conform to the legislator's culture? I mean, when applying the law, does an arbitrator shall always bear in mind the background and the context in which this article or this law has been drafted? Yes, no, perhaps, maybe? Of course yes, or of course no?
Yes.
Of course yes. And why if he doesn't do so? Will he be breaching any law? You think? Or
He will not breach the law, but it's not a proper application of the law. Because when you have a term of reference, the particular law, you have to apply the law according to the context. The problem with an arbitrator is that arbitrator is not bound by legal order of the parties. Because arbitrator is not a jurisdiction created by national state. There's the difference. But if you want to get a proper solution of the dispute, you have to apply the law according to the context.
and what defines or who defines this context?
The case and the fact, all the elements of the dispute.
Okay. Any other answer, suggestion by anyone? No? Okay.
We're thinking.
Okay. So the second question is, what if the person who applies the law has a different understanding, culture, mindset than the legislator, the one who drafted the law? What would be the outcome?
Non-compliance.
Yes, because right? You're the only awake here. Yes, please.
I cannot say it's going to be better or worse, but it's going to be, the law is going to be implemented in a different way than the judge of this very jurisdiction. So an advice for arbitrators who are not from the same nationality of the legislator of the applicable law to try as much as possible to read the rulings of the courts of the same applicable law, the state courts applying this applicable law, and also the preparatory acts that on which the legislator has relied upon in order to meet the parties' expectations.
Okay. So from your point of view is that when a judge or arbitrator uses a law or applies a law, he should respect all its historical and preparatory articles
And jurisprudence.
Okay.
Because otherwise there won't be international arbitrators. When the applicable law is the Egyptian law, only Egyptian arbitrators would sit, and this is not what we want. We want a more globalized arbitration where the nationality of the arbitrators is not always the same of the applicable law.
Okay. Yes, Professor Kier?
Yeah, so I think the question becomes more complicated when the lawyers don't brief those issues to you, right? And then how do you overcome those so-called cultural barriers? And the other question I think it's very difficult to say that the legislator had this one intention or had this one culture, right? Typically, it's a bunch of different legislators who come from various different regions of the country. So I think there's a lot of sub-issues here that we aren't really talking about.
So your answer to my question, what if the judge has a different mindset or apply the rule of law differently than it was intended to be? Yes, please.
I think the most simplistic way to look at this question, or the answer to it, is if you're discussing something like international law, the presumption is that you have had training in this subject. Therefore, part of your training should include the spirit of the law, the intention of the law,